Hello. Thank you for your patience. My internet would not actually allow me to go live. It just went round and round and round. All right, so hello, Patrice. Hey, Betsy. Hey, Jamie. What time is it where you are, Jamie? Welcome. Thank you for joining me. I keep saying hello, aloha, and thinking Jonathan's in here, but I know that's to Betsy. Oh, okay, not excessively late, Jamie. 8:30 p.m. Fair enough. So I have, hey, Summer. Yeah, I didn't expect many people here, given the time, in Australia compared to the rest of the world, but I have just been really hanging out to do live readings again. So even though I have a day where I have a client report that should have been done a long while ago, and I have partly done it, and I have 5,000 other things to do, I was just like, stuff it, I'm scheduling it, and I am going to do this. So you've got 30 minutes of playtime. Yeah, what time is it for everybody else? It's 1:30 in the afternoon here, so I definitely figured it would be a very odd time for people jumping on. And if anyone, 9:30 there, Summer, if anyone has questions, pop them in. Hey, Natalie. 2 p.m. Oh, yes, because you're in South Australia. How does that figure? Oh, okay. No, I'm thinking it's, Western Australia is 2 hours different from me. I don't even know the time zone differences in my own country, let alone around the world. Hey, Mimi. Okay, so, thank you, Jamie. It's actually got a beautiful amethyst in there, and it's in like a brass, and I scored this from, it's a shop called Loot Homewares, and our local one has closed, but they sell a lot of fake crystals and stuff, put it that way. They sell nice homeware stuff, but the mother of the daughter who owns the shop was selling her personal jewelry, and I just happened to be in there, and I think I had this ring on, my amethyst ring, and so she pulled it out and showed me and wanted pretty much next to nothing for it. So I was happy to take it because it's really weird. Hey, Nancy. Hey, Susie. Hi, Aquarius. Wow, I didn't expect so many people, given it being 1:30 in the arvo here. Yeah, it was a good find, Jamie. So, Betsy, you'd love insight about your day job laid off. Okay, when shut down. All right, let's see what tarot deck I'm feeling. Do you do tarot, Betsy, or do you just work with your mediumship? I can't remember. No, I don't think I've seen anything tarot related on your channel. I have so many decks out here in front of me at the moment. All right. I think. Oh, wow, Betsy. Oh, I'm really curious as to how that happened and how it went and how that felt for you. I don't know how I would feel. I mean, I'm guessing it's coming from a place of having your best interest and you obviously trust your guides. But wow, I don't know what I would do if I was told to put my cards down. You should make a video about that. That would be great. Okay. Okay, like oracles. Sorry. All right, so for Betsy, insight about your day job. You were laid off and shut down. So do you have another day job, or you're wanting to kind of know what will happen with that particular one you were laid off from, Betsy? Can you just clarify that for me? And hey, Jenna. Jenna, just pop your question in and I will, just read until I feel I can read no more. So probably be on an hour at the max, maybe. It took you 10 years to work up. That's so sad, Betsy. Hey, beautiful fairy wren. That one. Okay, all right. I'm curious if you've enjoyed in one way the time off from the job, Betsy. Because the first card that came out is this beautiful, I'm using Tarot of the She, Dreamer 4 of Restoration. So I think it's giving you good rest. But there's a very strong needing to see things from a totally different perspective. With having been laid off from your day job, in your heart of hearts, I know you worked really hard for it. And it took you 10 years to get to where you were. In your heart of hearts, like having the time off, how badly do you really want to go back? And for what reasons do you want to go back? And I ask that because I almost get like this underlying feeling of, sorry, I know I look off everywhere. I know there's moments I close my eyes and all of that. That do you want to go back for the right reasons? As in, because you truly loved the job? Or has this time down, the time away from it, made you do more of what you love doing? Okay. Just going to have a look if there's any comments. Your time off's been fab. Some of both. Yeah. I almost feel like the opportunity could arise to go back. But, and not just going on card meanings. I've got here our Hanged Man and our Maker Prince. And the Tarot of the She, if you're unfamiliar with it, has little keywords at the bottom. And on the Maker Prince, it's the gift of connection. And I just feel like this time that you have had off and away, you've either started to see a different perspective on this, or you need to look at the other side of this. Why you want to go back? What's the benefit of it? Do you want that particular job? I'm not saying that it's not a possibility, but I almost feel like it's going to come down to your decision. And I would say, I don't know what your daytime job is, Betsy. Okay, great products and people, drama work site. Okay. So I don't know what your daytime job is, but this card screams at me of very high-end jewelry. Okay. All right. So almost the total opposite end of the spectrum to kind of what I see in this card of you being 100% truly connected to what you absolutely love. And I feel like it is more that nature, peaceful connection. So I don't know if over this time, it's sort of given you that space to think about maybe different ways of, it's so funny that just popped up, because what was going to come out of my mouth was if you've thought about different ways to kind of upgrade your mediumship work. I don't know exactly the specifics of what you do, if it's all just one-to-one clients, but as you said that, it was like looking at creating courses, like maybe online courses that you can either do live or that you can pre-record and people can buy that. Yeah, there's nothing here that's telling me that the opportunity is not going to come up for you to go back. But I think you need to start making some really difficult decisions about, you just had a 4-week course, graduate. And things like if you do those courses live, maybe to increase that income, if that's a part of it. I forgot to put my water on the opposite side so I didn't spill it on cards. For students, wonderful. If you do those live, and I know with mediumship it kind of needs to probably be more live, but you can probably create introductory courses, and I don't know, I just see you doing a lot more with your actual mediumship side of it. So, hey, Mendy, yes, I am in the morrow. So I think you need to, whether it's speak to your guides, whether it's journal, do a pros and cons list. I think sometimes pros and cons lists are fantastic for working out what we do and don't want. And if you feel like you're at a stage of your life where you love what you're doing so much and you don't want to go back to that drama, I don't know, I just see a full-blown need to connect with what you absolutely love at the core of you. So I know that didn't specifically answer the yes or no to the job, but I hope that gave you something, Betsy. All right, I'm going to pop back. Oh, yes, and if you can, please either tag me, although I have a longer name now, or as like Betsy did, pop the questions in capitals. That will really help when I go back. Who did? Okay, so Summer, you have question. Should I continue weekly sales in my art career or will it be too much? I'm trying to take a bigger step forward in my business. Some of the work you're doing, and this is kind of piggybacking off what I just said to Betsy, is ever thought about making your own courses to teach people how to do these things? And when we have something that we specialize in, that we love, that we're good at, we kind of get scared that if we teach it, then people aren't going to want to buy our stuff. But that's not the case, because the people who have no interest or no time in being crafty, who love your stuff, will still buy it. But there's a lot of people out there who really want to learn how to do some of the incredible things that you do. So that's even before I pick the reading up, but not that I want to add more work to you, but let's have a look. I'm going to keep using Tarot of the She for this one. All right, continue weekly sales. Will it be too much? So I'm going to sort of word it as what's going to be your best course of action regarding your business. I'm going to have a look first at the outcome of weekly sales, and along with that, what's going to be in your best interest for your business. Okay, I'm just going to check back in with the chat before I read these. And if I've missed anybody coming in, my apologies. Oh, you're talking about calling me tomorrow's Jen. Yeah, that's why I wasn't worried about my name being super long. People don't tag me, they just call me Hen, or now tomorrow's Jen, or Aussie Jen. So, all right, Summer. Okay, let's look first at the continuing weekly sales. I think you've got it in you. I think you've got it in you. But it's your mindset around it that's getting in the way, or that will get in the way. And what I mean by that, if you know how we all have those days of, like me today, I have 5,000 things I need to do, total exaggeration. And from the moment we wake up in the morning, we feel that anxiety and we feel that stress and that overwhelm of I've got so much to do. But when we actually either write it all out or we actually just start, it's not as bad as what we initially thought it was. And I feel like this fear that you have in your mind of it's too much, it's going to be too much, it's going to be too much, that's the only thing that's going to stand in your way. I think if you keep looking at it from that perspective of this is what I love, this is what I want to do. The other thing with that is, fear of being overwhelmed. Yes. the other part of that is you need to give yourself permission, because something that is coming through really strongly is part of feeling overwhelmed, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's just what I'm getting, is you think if you say, right, I'm in my workspace this many hours every day of the week, that you're not giving enough of yourself to the other people around you. Ooh, that made me almost feel sick when I said that. So let me know if that resonates. And let me put it in this way. If you were going out to a daily job where you had to go out, like let's say you're working at a supermarket and you are rostered on for a certain shift for certain hours of the day, you got to be there and you wouldn't think twice about it. Yeah, we still might have some guilt that maybe we're not around enough to help people or do what needs to be done, but you wouldn't think twice about it in the sense that we do if we're at home doing this stuff. And literally saying that, I feel sick to my core. So I think you can do this weekly if you basically say to everyone, this is my job, this is the time I'm doing it, and I cannot be interrupted unless it's an absolute emergency. So I saw you say it resonates between grandbaby, troubled teen, or your home stuff. You feel bad to do it. I get that. God, the shit I've gone through with my 15-year-old since he's in grade 10, and we've had the shit going on since he was in grade 6. It is literally only the last few months, and I'm still working on it. I'm still not great at it, of needing to go, no, I'm not going to keep putting every one of my plans off to be at your beck and whim. Okay, and that doesn't mean I won't be there if my kids need me or it's urgent. But yeah, I think you have it in you. And if it's what you want to do to grow your business, then you need to get really strong with that. And I think if you do that, like I said, I was going to ask the second part around what's going to be best for your business. Yeah, I again, if you can get on top of putting really strict boundaries in place around people in your life, I think there's going to be a whole new opening, and I think you are going to come up with other ways beyond what you're doing now, which is already incredible, but to totally expand that as well. But I can't stress enough how much you need to put your boundaries in place, and the sick feeling I had as I was saying that to you. So yeah, I hope that helps. All right. While I'm packing these up too, and while I find the next question, hello Paula and welcome. If anyone else has come in that I've missed, I'm so sorry. Cool, Nancy, I will get to yours. So yeah, while I find the next question, for those of you who know about the little mini workshop that I'm going to be doing around using tarot with mental health, I will be creating the actual group today. I'm hoping today I will do a live into like the open group to sort of talk about it. I'll start putting some pre-chats and pre-stuff up into that closed private group for anyone who wants to do the mini workshop. If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, I did a video called an update on a favor to ask a few videos back. I'm just doing a a little kind of free mini workshop. I've decided, because of the type of content we're going to be talking about, that it's going to be closed and private. It'll be done, like, I'll be putting stuff into the Facebook group, but we'll do like live Zoom readings, and anybody is more than welcome to join the open Facebook group, so you can find out more info about it, because I'll be posting there. Now, not to confuse you, and I know I'm getting off track here, I started out by setting up a page called Science to Soul Tarot, and I decided I don't want a page, I want a group, but you can't swap it. So the actual open group is Science to Soul Tarot and Transformation, and just make sure it's a group if you want to click on it. And if I remember, I'll go back and I'll put the links in. All right, so we did Betsy, we did Summer. And I'm sorry if I'm missing, if I've missed something important that you've said, yeah, please tag me or chuck it up in capitals. Okay, so Jenna, what will happen with your Libra? Caleb, you're a Virgo. Okay. Going to pull out my Shimmering Veil Tarot for this one. Okay. So we'll sort of phrase it as, what's the likely outcome between yourself, Jenna, and Caleb? Jenna, was there kind of some type of injustice or betrayal, or one or the other of you broke the other one's trust? Everything is sort of standing out as being very, very hidden. Or perhaps one of you is very kind of fiery and passionate, and the other of you is more sort of closed and reserved and internal. And I think for it to work out, there needs to be some kind of a balance. Like, I feel like you both have two very different kind of personalities. That just clash in a way, and maybe not clash in the sense of even argument or that kind of thing, but it's like the two of you come from completely different worlds, and it's very difficult for you to get on the other person's page. And I think for it to work, there needs to be a big change in the balance. There needs to be some way that you two can meet in the middle, because these two different personality types can complement each other beautifully. But I think in this case, it's so different that it's going to take a lot of hard work for you to kind of get on that same page. And so there's nothing that looks terrible or dreadful about it. But you need to, I think, for it to go further, you definitely need to find a way to balance between whichever one of you has sort of that more fiery, passionate, outgoing energy, and whichever one of you has that more closed off, internal sort of energy. I also feel like you know what the right thing to do is. Not necessarily what you want, but I feel like you know what the right thing to do is. And that could be stay, that could be go, that could be in relation to what needs to change to balance it out. But I think it's going to take a lot of hard work. So I know that doesn't give you but I'm not up for giving people full, no, it's stuffed up leave. No, actually, that's a lie. I will do that if it's really obvious. Okay. So let me go find our next question. Okay, we've had lots going on in the chat. Okay, so Natalie, I'd like to know how you can invite more energy for transformation. Okay. So for Natalie, how can you invite more energy for transformation? There's something that you've got to let go of first, Natalie. Something that's got you like all wound up, whether that's in your mind, whether that's physically in your body. It's almost this whole collection of things from the past. So that can be things like memories, it can be things like traumas, it can be things like just general kind of bad experiences. It can be those moments that maybe took away your self-confidence. It could be now people around you who are kind of putting doubts in your head. But it's like they're all built up and it's time to let go of them. And the phrase that comes to mind is that, and I don't know how well it translates or where people are all from, but that having to grow your backbone, as in being strong. You need to decide what you want and what you need. And I think in relation to some of this past stuff that maybe you've held on to, I'm just going to go back and see if there's any comments up here. Okay. yeah, this overload of stuff that's kind of built up, and it could be just a bunch of small things, but you need to get out of your head with it and stop holding on to it, finding a way to release that, to be able to move forward. And then if you can do that, like there's this great inner strength in the cards that you can kind of see runs up the entire body, like, you know, like we talk about in respect to the clearing of the chakras or that kundalini rising sort of energy. Just going to see if you've popped anything in the comments. Hello, everyone who's come in as well. Okay. Yeah, and I'm gonna. I don't like to term it in this way because it sounds degrading, but you know how sometimes when things get to us and they shit us off, we get into kind of that immature mindset where we might want to lash out or we might want to say things. If you watch the last video I uploaded, it's very much in relation to things I really wanted to say, passive aggressive posts that I desperately wanted to just put on Facebook, but knew that I had to shut my mouth and not do that. And because otherwise I was playing into that kind of immaturity game of the other people who shit me off, basically. And so I don't mean offense by that, but it's almost like getting out of anything that's hurt you that you're holding on to, that you almost kind of want that revenge for. And I'm not saying in like a vicious, violent way. It's time to release it. And I think if you release that, you're going to come into a really, really powerful place all of your own accord. So let me know if that resonates. I hope that made sense. Yeah, so for anyone coming in, if you have a question, pop it in. Please pop it in capitals so I can see it more clearly. And if I get time, I will definitely read for you. All right, let's see where we are at now. Sorry, I'm kind of going, there's lots going on in the chat. So, I love that everyone's chatting. Hang on, bear with me. I'm just trying to find the next question. Gosh, everyone's very chatty. I really didn't expect to have many people at this time. This is great. Oh, you are working on boundaries. Somewhat awesome. Okay, so Nancy, you have a question. You have your first live chat scheduled with Mandy as your guest, and you're so nervous. Any advice? Yes, she'll be great because every one of us love you. Not what you're looking for, but it's the truth. All right. Okay, I'm going to stick with this deck. So, any advice for Nancy regarding nerves and anxiety around her upcoming life? Okay, going to have some water. Every one of these cards, Nancy, says to me, you know your stuff. You've done your work, and that doesn't necessarily mean in the way of you've done all this planning around it. Your whole history, your learnings, everything that came before this, you've done your work. You've gathered up everything you need. And I'll show you these two cards. And no, again, I don't necessarily go on the card meanings. You've got it. Like, look at, this is all bundled up here. It's all together. This little frog here, he's got all his shit together, balanced there between the 4 lily pads that he's bundled. You know it. Got both sides, balance. And the other thing I would take for this is making sure that in the lead up to it, whether for you that's 4 hours prior, whether that's 12, 24, 48 hours prior, that you're still just going about and doing other things, not constantly thinking and running back and maybe jotting more things down, keeping the balance, maybe doing something that is relaxing prior, but, stop worrying about the content, stop worrying about what you're going to talk about. It's there and you know it. So maybe in between the regular stuff that you do, not putting that off because of maybe the anxiety. So if you're feeling really overwhelmed and anxious and it's like, I can't wash dishes right now, maybe force yourself to go wash the dishes. But then after that, go and do something that's going to relax you. Okay, but you're going to be fine, perfectly fine. Okay, just going to scooch to the bottom to see if there's any comments about the readings. It's what the live is about. Nancy's done her work. I've got no doubt, Mindy. Oh, beautiful to see everybody encouraging you, because we all know that you will be great. Okay. Oh, you've come out of your shyness, a big step. You'll be wonderful. Okay, so let me just get back to my place at the top. Oh, thank you for putting that Facebook group in, Nancy. Oh, and Betsy, you're probably long gone by now, but goodbye anyway, and thank you. Don't forget to breathe. Yes, good advice, Jonathan. All right, just finding the next question. Oh, thank you, Susie. That's so sweet. Have you put up when it's scheduled for yet? Because that's the only time my brain can work out if it's a normal time for me, is when I actually see it scheduled and it tells me the time in my time zone. Oh, so many beautiful words of encouragement. Oh, okay, Mendy. A question on how can you better approach your daughter's current emotional upheaval? I knew there was going to be a question about a child today, and I'm going to grab a different deck because it came to me as soon as I scheduled this, and so too did the deck, which I generally don't use to read for others. So bear with as I crawl out from under my table. Okay. And I'm going to use the Alice Tarot because I don't know why. I literally scheduled, I had two things come to me. One was about blockages, and the other was about something to do with someone's child. And it was very clear to use my Alice Tarot for that. Okay. Just going to give this. So I'm just checking the other questions in there. Before I even pay attention to the cards, Mendy, would your daughter ever have a tarot reading from an outsider? Oh, so you just literally got out of bed to come downstairs and do a reading about this because I couldn't sleep. I think it was meant to be because honestly, the second I hit, scheduled this in, like I said, the first things were something to do with blockages and someone just not knowing. And the second thing was very clear about a child and used the Alice Tarot, which is weird because I have never used the Alice Tarot on private client readings on anyone other than myself or family. Probably. Okay. Can you, so I sit weird and odd on the floor, so I just have to move my legs around my little table. Okay. Can you ask her, Mendy, and see if she would agree to have a reading with me? I don't want anything for it, but I just very strongly felt that for her. And as you kind of know, what I've talked about, you don't know if you haven't had a reading with me. My personal readings are more focused on that psychological stuff as well. Okay, so let's actually read the cards. There's two sides to, I think, what you need to be doing that's in her best interest, whether it feels like it or not. So three, in a way. There's this one part that right now, I don't know if you're the one copying the most backlash from this, being the parent, because, that's what happens. And it's like at certain points with that, some things you need to make the choice to let go of. There's like this next part that is, so you're all feeling the brunt of it, but I think her sister is probably getting the worst of it. Yeah, okay. And this will tie into the last card I talk about. There's another part where even though what she's doing and how she's acting because of this might not be acceptable or okay, and as much as we may not want to when we as parents feel this way, is doing something that gets you and her out of the house to do something that's just fun or just outside, even if it's going to get her favorite takeaway and sitting in the car and eating it as you talk. And then when you talked about it being her sister, because, this card in the middle is the Three of Cups. I think it's important you do it one-on-one with her in a way. But then when you said that, it was also like you needing to do something with the two of them. Now, based on the next card, that could either be, or it could be both of what I'm about to say. Getting both of them out of the house to do something fun. Or just off topic to what's going on in her head right now. It doesn't have to be big, because if they're going through their emotional shit, they don't want big. It's funny because every time we would say to our kids we're going to dinner, it was like, what are we talking about now? Even when it wasn't that, but it was often the place we'd talk because, out in public. Getting them both out of the house just with you, or if you could convince them to do something just minor, like if you had boxes to carry, I don't know, you packed up boxes and you needed to move them from one room to the next. Get both of them there helping. Or go out and do something fun. But then the flip side that I also see in this is that the next card I have is the Emperor. And this screamed at me that even though it may not be taken well, that you may have to come in and put your foot down. And I kind of see, just with the cards I've got laid out here, that it's going to be a really, really fine balance of, on this one hand, what I'm saying is still do something fun. Try not to go off at her for everything that she does, like that whole choose your battles kind of thing, and pick your moments. So I think even though you might be really pissed off at what she's doing at times and feel like you're at your wit's end, it's still kind of having to push aside your own anger and frustration and annoyance and doing something with her, and preferably if you can work a way out to do something with both girls and you. But this, as soon as I drew it, was very much, you've got to be the crackdown mum in some respect. And that is really hard. That's really hard when our kids are going through emotional shit. Again, I've lived this. I still live this day to day with my son and school and all of that. But you still got to put your foot down at times. And even if it means she goes off her nut and she yells and screams and she makes your life hell for the next 24 hours, that you have to take your own power with that. So I hope that helps. But unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be an easy thing to balance that. And not that it's in the cards, but take time for you. All right, I'm just going to quickly have a look at what's happening in some of the comments. Oh, hello. So many other people have joined. Hey, Marsha. Oh, hey, Sedana. Makes sense. It's hard because, as you know, they are behaving like shit. You really don't want to. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It could also be like that, just using that concept of the buying ice cream. Go out and do it the first time and shut up. You're doing it as something nice. Then go and do it the second time. And that time, you start the conversation. I don't see the balancing for you as being super simple. But please get in touch with me if she would agree to have a reading, because like I said, this started for me before I knew who would be in here. Yeah, so just ask her. I don't bite. Okay, now I've really lost my place. I should have put my iPad up to keep better track, but my son has been using it and it's probably dead flat. All right. So word girl, will the Virgo return? Okay. Oh gosh, I can't believe I've already been here for nearly an hour. Time flies when you're having fun. Oh, I have so many decks around. So will the Virgo return? You know, of all the elegant decks I have, all the beautiful decks, mass market, indie, one of the decks that has been reading like a dream for me lately is my good old El Cheapo Tarot of Pagan Cats. So I'm actually going to use this one because it has been giving very straightforward, very good, very clear answers. So I think it will be good for this question. So for word girl, will the Virgo return? So sort of ask about what's the likely outcome. I'm going to say no. I think it's over. I don't think, from what I'm picking up, this person, he, she, they, I don't think they are going to return. I think if you're wanting them to return, I want to advise to dig a little deeper into the reality of if you do want them to return. Kind of like that, we have an ideal of what someone is like, and we have an ideal of how things could be. But if we actually look at the reality of the situation, of what we know, if we really trust our instinct, yeah, I think you need to look deeper at that. I don't see Virgo returning. And I also feel like there's a little part of you that knows that it's probably not in your best interest for that to happen. So I'm sorry it wasn't an overly positive response if that's what you were hoping for. But okay. Yes, definitely, Mandy. Just glide me or message me. All right. I've got to go back up and find my place. Goodness me. I really thought this was like the worst time of day for people around the world. Okay, no. I think I've gone up way too far. Okay, so Sarah Robbins, I see that you've said, can you have a reading? So for anyone, just pop your question in, preferably in capitals, so I can see it easier. And if I get time, which I know there's still a few more questions, and I've already been going now for over an hour, so I'm not sure how many more I'll do. Okay, sorry guys, I'm just trying to find the next reading. So Anastasia Enchanted, a love reading. When is love coming into my life? Okay. Okay, so let's have a look at what's the trajectory of love coming in to Anastasia's life. So I don't specifically answer as far as specific times go, but let's just have a look at the trajectory of it. Okay, Anastasia. Such a pretty name. I can hear it all stormy and thundery outside, so hopefully we don't lose internet. Anastasia, if you're still here, I want to ask, and not for you to answer specifically to me, what happened in your past relationship that you're still holding on to? It's kind of hard to articulate in words. Okay, you are still here. I think you haven't had a past relationship. There's something from your past. And I don't want to say too much here. So I don't know if it was with just a friend growing up, whether it was in your family. It's like, okay, I'm really struggling to articulate this one, but also not sort of say too much in public. It's like something happened, and that could have been you just as a child, and you're this innocent child, and you're carefree, and you know, that typical child. You're playing, everything's great, but it's like then something happened. You did meet a guy in the past. I'm gonna let him go and attract something better for me. Yeah. So if you've not been in a relationship, so this isn't in about that guy you met in the past. But something I feel that has happened in your past. It could have been when you were young. Like I said, it could have been with a family member or family in general. It could have been with a friend that caused you a lot of turmoil and a lot of pain. And sometimes these things don't have to, like, they can be big traumatic things. Sometimes they don't have to be what we would class as a big trauma, but it can be something that really impacted us. I feel like there is pain inside of you. It's such a clear going from being carefree and then like something took that childhood innocence away, something happened and it hurt you and it caused you pain. And again, like I said, it doesn't have to be big traumas, right? Like I would have family members aside from my like mum and grandma, who would always make comments about my sister being the better one, me being the horrible child. So having those comments in themselves are not traumatic. That's not like going through a traumatic experience. But the build up and all of that still leaves like a lasting trauma. He was always carefree up until a year ago. You moved to live on your own in Korea, so you feel lonely. Also recovering from an eating disorder now. Okay, well, Anastasia, an eating disorder is a big thing. And you've been feeling very sad the past year or so. And when you say you've been very cared for, there are reasons. I'm guessing if you're saying that you're recovering from an eating disorder, that I'm hoping, I shouldn't assume, that means that you got help for that. If you didn't, even though you're recovering from it, I strongly recommend you get help for it. Eating disorders don't just happen. Eating disorders stem from, and just so you know, I'm not speaking out of my ass, I am a psychologist. Eating disorders stem from something, somewhere, and it's usually a control issue. I'm not going to go into that aspect of it, but if you're recovering from an eating disorder, then that means there's been something in the past that has affected you significantly and caused you pain for you to have got to the point of developing an eating disorder. It's not extreme. No medical help. Okay. Even if it's not extreme, the fact that you know it's there and you can acknowledge it, then maybe it's worth seeking some kind of counseling or therapy, because there's always something that underlies it. And even if it's not extreme, the fact that you're now in a place where you feel sad and you feel lonely, you might be managing it okay now, but it could be one extra thing that comes along and pushes you right back and maybe pushes you even further into it. So it's definitely worth seeing someone to get to the bottom of how this started, because talking not from the tarot reader perspective, the psychologist perspective, there's always something that lies behind it. And I think it will be really important for you to kind of go further and explore that so that it doesn't become worse. Okay. And in answering your question, I think that needs to be healed first. And if you can heal that, that will be an opening where you can then have love come into your life and have that be successful. Like disordered eating. Yeah, but even with disordered eating, there's often fine lines between what we would clinically diagnose as an eating disorder versus what's the cutoff point. But either way, we still treat it because it's important. Okay, and I think if you can get to the bottom of where that stems and where it came from and get the help, maybe even doing things to help you where you are in career to move out of that loneliness. And I know it's hard at the moment. Until you get through that, you're not going to be 100% open to love coming into your life. Okay. And I'm sorry that you are going through all that. That's really tough. You're developing a healthy relationship with your body now, making lots of progress. So that's awesome to hear. And I think if you keep working on that and do things to improve that feeling of loneliness and isolation, again, I know it's hard and we've kind of got to be creative at the moment. But until you get through that, you're not going to be fully open to receive that love coming in that you desire. Okay. So now I'm going to go back and find where I am at. Okay. What is Lonnie's fate at work? She and I have bad blood. All right. So CC Moon it's sort of sounding, and do clarify for me, but the way you're phrasing it, what is her fate at work? You and her have this bad blood between you. It's almost like you're waiting for her maybe to get fired or something like that. And because Lani's kind of not here, for her perspective, is there a way that you can reframe that? Around something that's going to be more helpful to you, like what could you do to work alongside Lani more peacefully, but more about what you need to do, because I just don't feel comfortable reading on somebody else's fate, so to speak, who's not actually here asking for the reading. I hope that makes sense. But if you can reword that so it's asking from the perspective of what's going to be helpful to you in what you can do, then I'll come back and I'll read that for you. Okay, so Elizabeth, is my move a right decision? Okay. Okay, so because that's more a yes, no, I'm just going to slightly tweak it and say, what does the outcome of your move look like? Okay. So for Elizabeth. It looks pretty good. Yeah, I think it's going to give you, I don't know if it's a different, style of house or apartment or unit or whatever it is to what you're living in now. Is it less populated or a little bit more quieter than where you are now? I don't know. I just feel like you're going to have more peace with the move. And I mean, like, we've got the World card here. We've got this beautiful Empress card here. It looks really positive. So I just go back down to the bottom. Oh, sorry, goodbye, Mendy. I'm sure you're long gone, but goodbye and thank you. And I might do like 2 more readings and then sign off because the rain's starting to get really bad and I could hear all the thunder starting. Just seeing if there's been any comments in what I've read. All right. So I'll just make my way back up and find the next couple of readings. So Sarah, I want to know if there is a future in love. Well, my lights just all like went. So if we get cut off because of the storm that's currently brewing outside, my apologies. And thanks for all being here. Oh, flickering again. Okay. So for Sarah, if there is a future in love between Marek and yourself. Okay. I feel like you both have very different energies as well. And I don't know if this has already happened, but it's like, you know, when we get into like a new relationship with someone, it can be, you know, all that lust that's building up. There can be like a lot of intense passion, very full on kind of energy with it. But I feel like one of you wants to be in control and the only person in the relationship in control. So I don't know if it's Mark or if it's yourself. But if Mike is the more dominant person in the relationship, Sarah, I don't think that's going to change. Like at first, it might have been all lovely. You know, like I said, that freshness, that newness, the passion. But I'm trying to say it tactfully. I think if it is the case that he's the more sort of dominant, forward, forthright one in the relationship, that if you stay, it could mean you losing a lot of yourself and almost being under that control of this person. And just going to see if you've commented in here. Okay, you understand. If you keep going and nothing changes, the words that come to mind is you're going to end up being a shadow of yourself. Okay. All right. So he may change while we're in the relationship. I feel like, Sarah, if he's already pretty dominant, if he's the one making all the final decisions, if I just get, I almost get, and I'm not saying this to judge someone I don't know, but I have this image of him standing over you and asserting his power. And the problem is with that generally doesn't change in a relationship. What changes is if the other person stays, more and more they get worn down. More and more you become weaker. And like I said, that phrase that came to mind was becoming a shadow of yourself. And that's not healthy for you. So I think you need to look at where it is now. How much of it is the truth of what you like right now? How much is the truth of what's not working now? And for a moment, take him out of the equation and think about what deep down you actually really want, what you want a relationship to look like. And if that means an ending relationships are shit. And it doesn't always mean we know what we want in the next relationship. But something we do learn, we learn a little bit about what we don't want in the next relationship and what we aren't prepared to tolerate, even if we don't know exactly what we want. So I hope that helped. Okay. All right, I'm going to pop back up and I'm going to do one more reading because, yeah, wow, nearly an hour and a half. And just in case my storm, although it does sound like it's going, but. Okay, so Taraval Pradnya. So his name is Yogesh. So let's have a look at. So we'll do it in a similar vein. What's like the likely trajectory of the relationship between yourself and Yogesh? And my apologies if I'm pronouncing names incorrectly. I don't know if you come from, just gotta move because my feet are going to sleep. So, Pradnya, do you and Yogesh kind of come from two totally different places? And what I mean by that is it could either be the location, it could be like you have two totally different jobs where schedules don't line up. Or different beliefs, whether that's religious or how you've been brought up within your families, that kind of thing. So I'll just see if you're here too. Yeah, so for everyone coming in, I'm sorry, this is going to be my last reading because I've been here for an hour and a half. Okay. So I'm not hearing back from you, Pradnya from Tarot Vale. Thank you, Jonathan. Can one of my mods Yeah, I'm just not sure about one of the people in the chat. If one of my mods can kind of pick up and see if there's been any other oddly comments. Okay, so you think she left. All right, well, I'll just read on this anyway while it's out. Yeah, I feel like there's two total opposites trying to come together. Not necessarily, I don't feel like it's so much personality difference. I feel like it's more location or schedules that don't meet up, or maybe very strong family beliefs that don't align. And a heartbreak in there. I do see a real sadness, a real heavy heart. And yeah, if you think anything's off, oh, Jonathan, you're not even a mod. I thought you were. But yeah, Nancy, if you think anything's off, I made you a mod now, Jonathan. Yeah, I trust your judgment. I see a sadness and then a big choice to be made. I think it's a big choice, and the choice is down to this something that's not aligning. Oh, maybe there's another one then, Marsha, if you're saying she. I don't know. I'll go back and look later. But yes, Marsha, Nancy, Jonathan, if you see anything odd, I will trust you to get rid of it if necessary. And I appreciate it. All right. So, yeah, obviously, I don't think Tarot Vale is still here to respond to any of that. So I'll leave it at that for that one. But yes, I know lots of people showed up, and thank you. Like I said, I didn't really expect it at this time of the day for me, because I know I think all our UK people will still be asleep, and I actually thought a lot of our American people would be asleep too. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you, Nancy, for posting the Facebook group up earlier. And I will, once this uploads properly, which usually takes a while, I will go back and I will put like the actual Facebook group in. Yeah, and if I'm going to go into there later today and pop something in. I'll probably just do it as a live. I don't expect anyone to be there. It'll just be updating people on the little mini workshop that's coming up, and get that other private group created ready for it. So, thank you, Nancy. You're awesome. So thank you, everyone, for coming. This has been so much fun. I've wanted to do this for so long, and even though my to-do list is a mile long today, I just wanted to do something that was for somebody else. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and I know lots of people didn't get read, and if it got missed, I'm sorry. But yes, and I know someone did ask if I have a regular time. I don't at this stage. I do want to create a regular time, but I've got a few different things in different areas of my life that I'm trying to get on top of at the moment. And when I can work out what's a good time, then maybe I'll be able to do it weekly as well. So thank you, everybody, for joining. And I'm sending you all loads of love, and I'll see you next time. Bye, all.